rather not forego, but the first zealot is out. I thought he was going to forego the initial zealot, and I said, no, wait, there's one hoofing across there. So I checked the unit counting station. And what's really cool is initially when you play against Terran, the combination of your zealot with your stalker, if you choose to back up with your stalker, which you should, gives you a lot of intel. So he's going to know right away what he's dealing with here. As you can see, Marines spread across the ramp. And I like to wait for the stalker to catch up simply because you can start to damage some of those Marines if you so choose and go ahead and take advantage of the range.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those situations where, like you said, I mean, poking out with that stalker and that zealot, I mean, if the Terran player miscontrols a little bit, they could definitely lose a Marine. Zealots do amazing damage to anything they can actually hit. And Stalkers, of course, do outrange those Marines by 1 range. The Marines with a range of 5, Stalkers with 7. For our Protoss player, we did see that Nexus pop down after the 1 gateway, and he has added a robotics and a 2nd gateway there. So he is going to be on 2 gate plus that robo and quite a lot of probes. I'm going to check those counts once again. 29 probes to 25 SCVs. So he hasn't been quite as as thorough about chrono boosting out those probes. He's spending that chrono on the warp gate.
Oh, look at this. Actually, a little miscontrol there by iS.Axslav, and the stalker will get away. But just barely. Yeah, 12 hit points left there, so did not go the way he wanted to there in terms of controlling that stalker. But Pokebunny now,
this is
on the move.
This is really interesting out of him. He threw down, I mean, he has 5 naked barracks in the main, and that's 5 Marines at a time, which is, I mean, obviously quite a few. And he has a bit of a supply lead he's pushing out now. This is really one of those situations where iS.Axslav is going to have to control this really well with force fields because the DPS on those Marines, despite not having stim, is going to be very high.
Well, he needs to get more stalkers in the mix, and he only has 2 sentries. However, they are full of energy. And here we go. He elects to go ahead and camp more toward the Nexus rather than toward the front of the ramp, as you see so many other Protoss do. And that Nexus can tank for him a little bit. Observer is out now, Quinn, and as you said, a lot of DPS coming his way.
Oh yeah, we do see the Nexus taking a little bit of chipping damage. That pylon there as well. Force fields finally go down. Pretty good force fields pinching off some of those Marines, but now the force fields are actually helping the Marines more than they are hurting it. iS.Axslav pulls his probes, but sends them back to mine, as he is kind of confident he's going to be able to hold this off, warping in additional stalkers, but the Marine train across the map is still going. The pylon goes down, and Pokebunny is doing a great amount of damage right here.
Well, here's the thing, though. iS.Axslav can afford to lose, rather, 6 probes and still be ahead. Stim was delayed due to this push. I mean, because he elected to expand, so Stim is only a quarter of the way finished. So there's a little bit of advantage here toward iS.Axslav, just in terms of the fact that what has Pokebunny really done aside get a pylon and scratch the paint of the Nexus?
Is a very good point. Yeah, I mean, he did waste a little bit of force field energy, killed off some gateway units, but Pokebunny, look at this behind this. He's taking a fast 3rd base. And that is really cool out of him. I kind of like that move. At the same time, he took the opportunity to get add-ons on his barracks while he was being aggressive.
Yeah, and that's just it. I think it's one of those things where you realize, okay, I didn't do the damage I needed to, but it's okay because I expanded behind that pressure. So while the pressure wasn't, it's great because it allows Terran to do a couple of things, right? There's a lot of instances where Protoss 1 or 2 misclicks, and if it's not controlled properly, that can be disastrous, right? They can start to lose a lot of probes, they can pull probes, they start losing pylons, they get supply blocked. That was very, very good out of iS.Axslav to hold that with that defensive posture. Also, you notice how far back in the pocket iS.Axslav was. Not toward the front of his ramp. So, both players executing very, very well there. Just Pokebunny not getting as much, I don't think, as he would have liked out of it. But again, it's okay. Taking a 3rd and going to add some Marauders to the mix, which do very, very well, obviously, against Stalkers.
Yep, the Marauders now added. Like you mentioned, we do have Concussive Shell finishing up right now. Stim has finished up, as well as Combat Shield about halfway done. And the Starport is going down. We also have that reactor on the factory, of course. So Pokebunny is setting up to get those medevacs out. And I think, the next aggressive potential he has is once those first 2 medevacs pop out, he'll go ahead and do that. Now, iS.Axslav, of course, scouted that there was a 3rd command center going down. He just moves out to put a little bit of pressure on, but now decides to pull back as this pretty scary Terran army is marching across the map.
Yes, no doubt. And you can see they're just tagging up right now at the Zelnaga Tower. And this is a much scarier army than the first time.
Oh, yeah.
This army's got a lot of firepower. Now, the Zealots are going to do well against the Marauders, but I like how he's peppered in the Marines here as well. Very nice. So we're going to go ahead and trap in. But the Colossus was the exact unit he needs. Has to be very careful. So many times over the weekend in MLG, I saw Protoss miscontrolling their Colossus, being a little too boisterous with it there. You need that Gateway Army support to make sure that doesn't fall, because that is your lifeline.
Absolutely do. Now the Terran army is going to move toward the Protoss third. Looks like he's going to get some probe kills here, and that Colossus without range is vulnerable to the bio, and it goes down. What a pick by Pokebunny, and now he can kite pretty freely, taking out the last sentry that Axslav had and pushing on in toward the natural expansion. But the Colossus from the high ground should spell the end of this aggression unless he can snipe it as well. And it does go down.
It too. Look at that win. Now here's the thing. This is exactly what I was talking about. You need to go ahead and preserve that Colossus count with your Gateway Army, because essentially that's the big unit that's going to deal with this bio. And, you know, unfortunately for Axslav, illustrating exactly what I said I saw over the weekend. Protoss players not properly really protecting that Colossus and leaving it back. Now, you did make a great point, Gwyn, when you said, you know, essentially, I don't believe at the time Extended Thermal Lance had finished yet.
Yep,
so
that is correct.
I'm just going to assume because of the fact that Axslav simply is too good to miscontrol like that. So that was the real issue. That was the real crux. Was, right? Yeah, he didn't want to lose all those probes. He knew that he had to make something happen there. Unfortunately, you know, this matchup right here on a razor's edge, Pokebunny looking really good.
Oh yeah, and I mean, with the snipe of that natural nexus, Pokebunny is in a great position. He's adding on ghosts. He's already started making Vikings, and Axslav sees the army coming in, and GG's on out. So quite a play there out of Pokebunny, really kind of taking it to you know, to Axslav there. We'll have to see if Axslav can come back in that game too. But while we take this a little bit of a break, guys, I'm going to talk just a tiny bit about of course, the ONOG, what it is. I mean, some of you might have heard of it. Some of you probably just clicked the link on the side of Team Liquid. Of course, One Nation of Gamers is an organization that runs bar crafts across the country, and the money they make in those bar crafting events, they use, of course, to fund tournaments like this. This is $5,000 put forward on this event, and that's a lot of money in esports.
Absolutely, and I got to tell you something else.
Yeah,
the people behind One Nation of Gamers, again in New York, finally getting to meet Derek, but they are passionate.
Oh yeah,
and they're not. The bottom line is it's about growing esports and making this great for not just the fans but the players also. So like they've got all the right components, and I think where so many people get into esports because they either see opportunity or they want to become quote unquote e-fame. Like there's none of that here. There's no I'm searching for e-fame. It's truly just about the event. And you know what? I have to say, it really shines through, man. These guys are the greatest. I get super excited every time I'm asked to cast for One Nation of Gamers because it's a legit, just great organization to work with.
Oh yeah, I mean, it absolutely is. So guys, I just want to throw that out there that if you like what you're seeing, if you like this sort of tournament, if you want to see more of it, follow these guys on Facebook at One Nation of Gamers. Check out their website at www.onenationofgamers.com. Like them or follow them on Twitter as well at ONOG_esports. That is ONOG_esports. And yeah, I mean, just stay posted with what they're up to because they're doing some great stuff. And with that, we're going to go to a quick commercial break. I am Gwyn. With me is Tumba. And we will be right back with game number 2 of Axslav versus Pokebunny.
I'm going to actually plug my mic back in. It's a Yeti, so it should be good, but let's make sure. It might help with the echo, so I might lose him for a second.
right, guys, this is Gwyn. I am back, and Tumba, I believe, was just messing a little bit around with his sound settings, trying to get a different microphone plugged on in. And
well, yeah, no, it's the Yeti Blue, so I don't think I can get any better than that. But here's the thing, I got to be honest with you, Gwyn. Like,
yep,
it's One Nation of Gamers. I want this to be perfect, and if it's not perfect, then I'm upset. So I'm going to do everything until
we got to get it figured out, man. I totally agree.
I mean, I haven't seen chat blowing up too much, so I'm hoping that the echo hasn't been too bad.
Yeah.
But they're saying, the second caster yesterday had the same sound issue, so the problem may not be on Tumba's side. So it could be a Skype integration.
Yeah.
Are you using XSplit?
Of course.
Okay, that's probably where the issue is. Is it checked to integrate with Skype? And if it is, sometimes that gets thrown off a little bit, and you have to uncheck, recheck. But anyway, bear with us, guys, as we work through it live on the fly. What a great game we saw, though. What a great first game to kick things off. I mean, great defense there by iS.Axslav, right? And then, but Pokebunny really just rallying and sending in the reinforcements. And
that fast third base, and really, kind of what he did is he just bought himself a lot of time with that first push. I mean, 5 naked barracks, he make a lot of Marines, like a lot of Marines. And that was the thing, right? Like he pushed out with a ton of Marines, and while he was doing that aggression, he bought himself time to get tech labs and reactors and all of the other tech structures that he needed to start getting those upgrades for his bio. And yeah, it turned out great for Pokebunny there. Great build, loved it.
Absolutely. So whenever you're ready, you let me know.
All right, we're gonna go ahead then, guys, and be jumping into the next game here. Of course, Pokebunny is up 1-0 against iS.Axslav, and we're going to go ahead and get started in 3, 2, and 1. Taking a look at this game, switching it over to the overlay so everyone can see. In the red, playing Protoss for Team Infinity 7, it is iS.Axslav. And in the purple, playing for Team Gosu, we do have iGosu.Pokebunny as our Terran. And something kind of interesting to note about the color purple, I've seen a lot of Terrans playing in purple. Have you noticed that? QXC only plays in purple.
He's big on purple for sure.
One of the Terrans that I cast yesterday for the ONOG was only playing using purple as well. So kind of interesting color choice. What race do you play, Tumba?
Well, I've recently switched to random, but I think I'm probably best with Protoss. However, Zerg catching up very quickly. I started off as Zerg initially, and it felt really, really good.
Yeah.
And then Protoss, I figured, I'm going to get to learn all 3 races, so I stuck with that the most. But switching back to Zerg has been very refreshing, I should say, because it's played differently, right? It's played differently than the other 2. Of course, there's nuances between all 3, but it's definitely a fun race to play. And I've noticed that if anybody that knows, while I play Protoss, all of my favorite players are typically Zerg. So I watched just a ton of Zerg play. And, with Stefano coming on the scene, of course, Violet, getting to cast him through the arena stuff, I fell in love with that player. That guy's pretty amazing. So
Violet is such a good guy.
Yeah, so right now, I would have to say, though, still a Protoss at heart, I guess.
All right. Very cool to note. And what the follow-up question then, what color Protoss do you play?
Right, and I knew that was coming because of course, all that groundwork you laid. I have to say, I got to echo in Control, who said one time, he's like,